Good morning, students. Today we are going to study about plantar arches, and this will be a last video on ankle and foot biomechanics. And we have covered all the joints till the last video. And today is about plantar arches and how it is and its importance. What is its role in mobility as well as stability of the ankle and foot complex. Now. Guys, you know that plantar arches, similar to we have arches of the hand, we have arches of the foot also. There are two longitudinal arches and one transverse arch. Fine. The longitudinal arch is, if you can see here, I am showing you the plantar surface. This is the medial longitudinal arch, this is the lateral longitudinal arch, and this is the transverse arch. Fine. So there is a transverse arches are there. The medial longitudinal arch, if you can see for yourself, is more, when you stand, you see the medial longitudinal arch is more prominent. It can be seen more prominently as compared to the lateral longitudinal arch. Now if you see, it has been formed by the calcaneum, the structures which are involved in the formation of this medial longitudinal arches. You can see the calcaneum is there, you can see the navicular bone is there, the part calcaneum, talus, naviculum, the medial cuneiform, the first ray is there. You can see the first metatarsophalangeal joint is there. So it is the first, this is metatarsophalangeal joint, that is calcaneum, talus, the navicular, the medial cuneiform, and the base and the head of the first metatarsal. They form the medial longitudinal arch, whereas the lateral longitudinal arch is formed between the calcaneum, the cuneiform, the fifth metatarsal base and head. You can see the structure over here. Fine. So these arches, as you understand, when we are born, they are not there. Our foot is almost flat. Fine. And but when we grow, when we are in a weight bearing position, or when we start walking, these arches develop. And during throughout our life also, if the weight of the body increases, the arches can collapse. Fine. But they will not come back. Fine. So it is like they change with the age. What about this a transverse arch? This is, if you can see, which is it is the arch which has been formed with, when you see this, that it has been formed by the metatarsal heads. Okay, this is formed over here, the metatarsal heads, and it is also formed at the tarsometatarsal joint. It is formed at the tarsometatarsal joint. Basically, we say it as a metatarsal. It has got again two parts, but we consider it as the main and the prominent part which has been formed at the tarsal or metatarsophalangeal joints. They form the transverse arch. They forms the main basis of the transverse arch. Fine. Now these arches, they play a very crucial role in the medial longitudinal arch. In the longitudinal arch, the talus is the keystone. I can say the talus becomes the keystone because it is the highest position, is because of this talus. Whereas in transverse arch, if you can see, these two transverse arches are there. So in this transverse arch, we say it that the cuneiform plays a very crucial role and in maintenance of it. So let us see what is basically the if I can say the why these arches, how the structures which are responsible. The maintenance of these arches are done by, one is the anatomical structure, the inclination of calcaneum, the inclination of metatarsals. Fine. And the inclination of metatarsals, inclination of this calcaneum plays a very crucial role, and inclination of that, you can see the cuboid and cuneiforms, the wedge shaped structure of these cuneiforms or the metatarsals. They play a very crucial role in maintenance of these arches or in the structure of these arches. The arch, as you can understand, this arch like structure. So the arch like structure depends upon, one, the anatomical structure, that is the angle of inclination of calcaneum, the angle of inclination of metatarsal heads, the wedge shaped structure of the tarsals. They play a very crucial role in the structure of the plantar arches. The second important thing is the muscles and the ligaments, that they also play a very crucial role. The ligaments, basically, we have got medial longitudinal, the deltoid ligament is there. This deltoid ligament we have studied is the medial collateral ligament of the foot. It plays a very crucial role in holding this. And we have got spring ligament, which is also called as calcano-navicular ligament. So it plays a very crucial role in maintenance of this arch. Then we have got also interosseous ligament, which runs between the tarsal bones, interosseous ligament. Then we have long and short plantar ligaments, which holds the basically our transverse arch. So we have got, you understand, we have got plantar aponeurosis. So main we can say is the deltoid ligament, the spring ligament, the plantar aponeurosis, which holds the medial longitudinal arches or the lateral longitudinal arches, and the transverse ligament, which has been holded by we can say is by the short and the long plantar ligament. Fine, you remember the plantar ligament was arising from the calcaneum and going up to the metatarsal heads. So it plays a very crucial role in this. Fine, in maintenance of a transverse ligament. Fine, the transverse arches. It plays a very crucial role in that. So what is the function of this, if we can say, plantar arches? The function of these plantar arches are basically, it is, first of all, it helps to dissipate the forces. It acts as a spring, and dissipates the forces which is transmitted from the body, from the, if you can say, talus, or from the tibia and fibula. When the forces are transmitted onto the talus, and it acts as a spring and dissipates the forces to the different joints. So it is also acting as a suspension. It holds the arches, and it basically counteracts the ground reaction force. So the suspension movement of the plantar arches helps in compensating or reacting or compensating the ground reaction force. So it is for the weight bearing, it is for the compensation of the ground reaction forces, and it basically absorbs the rotational forces of the hind foot. Now if the hind foot supinates, you remember there's a pronation swift, there is a supination twist which is happening. So this is basically the rotational forces, the inversion, torsion, or the eversion, rotational motion which is happening, is been absorbed by this arches. This arches plays a very crucial role in that. So it's help in dissipation of forces, it helps in counteracting ground reaction force, it helps in rotational twists, in maintenance of the forces during rotational twist. It plays a very crucial role to shape the foot in uneven terrain. So it helps in maintenance of foot. The shape of the foot can be maintained on an uneven terrain. So it is having a very crucial role in all this. So it is its function is vast, you can see that. And if I can add to it, is it also help in during metatarsal break, when the foot need to be in a form of a rigid lever. So they also plays a very crucial role in making the foot into a fixed lever, or so that the movement takes place at the interphalangeal joints, so at the metatarsophalangeal joints. So it is the role. These are the most important roles of it. Now all this role is possible because of one ligament, which is plantar aponeurosis, which is also called as plantar fascia. Now this plantar fascia is, I'm not reading the slides, let me explain you this plantar arches, and then we will go through the slides. Now plantar aponeurosis is basically a plantar fascia which is arising from the calcaneum, the medial facet of the calcaneum, and it is basically passing beneath, and it is reaching up to, you can say, the metatarsal heads. It is basically passing through the plantar arches and going up to the base of the IP joint. So it is basically crossing the medial epicondyle or sorry, the medial facet of the calcaneum, it is arising from there, and it is crossing the whole foot, and it is dividing it into all four. It is covering all the MTP joints, and it is passing through the plantar plates, and then getting inserted at the base of the MTP joint or the IP joints. It is going up to there. So this is like this. It is a band which has been formed over here. It is a band like this which has been formed. So it is basically calcaneum to MTP. It has been inserted there. Fine. So it is running like this. Now if we see this, we say that plantar aponeurosis is acting as a truss or a tie rod. What does that mean? If you have seen a tie rod, I want to show you. A tie rod is a structure where you see that it has got a key point, and if I can show you like this, it is a structure which is basically having anterior and posterior or two areas where you tie that rope, or you basically pull the rope, and then there are two fixed points. These are two, you can see the two fixed points. This is basically a spring. This is basically a spring. So we say this as two studs, that is the two which are being pulled, and there is a we can say this as acting as a spring. So if this is basically a tie rod structure. Now over here I am saying that plantar aponeurosis act as a tie rod structure is, we say that if this is the calcaneum, this part is the calcaneum, and this is the metatarsal heads. So the fascia, the plantar fascia is acting as a spring, and it is also connected. Take this as a talus, and where the weight bearing is being transmitted by the tibia and the fibula. You see the posteriorly it is connected with the calcaneum. It becomes the posterior part of the stud, and the interior part of the stud is connected to the MTP. So basically it is pulling. These are two ropes which are being pulled, and this is the spring which can be you can see it can be the spring can compress, as well as it can withhold the tension. It can be stretched and compressed. So this is the structure of a plantar aponeurosis. We compare it as a tie rod. So that means whenever this tie rod can be compressed, or it can withhold the tension. Now let us take a condition. When we are in a weight bearing position, what will happen? In a weight bearing position, the tibia is giving weight to the talus. Now the talus this is the talus bone. The tibia is shifting the weight over here, and if the weight is the aim of the talus is to dissipate the weight, so it is dissipating the weight to the calcaneum as well as to the MTP. And what is happening? So the force or the weight which has been here is transmitted like this. Now what will happen over here? This is the plantar fascia. It is getting stretched. I can say the tensile stretch. It is getting a tensile strength or stretch is there. Here there is a compressional stretches are there. It is basically dissipating the forces to the calcaneum 50% and then to the MTP. And this is bringing about the tensile stretching of the spring ligament to hold the weight properly on the foot. This only happens when the arches are there. Fine, this arches should be there, and if it is maintained well, so then this happens. So because of this weight bearing also, guys, there is tensile forces, or you remember the trabecular system which we studied in hip joint. So the weight bearing trabecular systems are developed. So on the lower end of the tibia and fibula, basically not in fibula, the tibia, because fibula is a mobility bone, tibia is the weight bearing bone. You find the trabecular system along with the talus. Talus has got very strong trabecular lines, one on the posterior surface which is going up to the calcaneum. So you will find trabecular lines in you can see this trabecular lines in the calcaneum and the posterior surface, as well as in the interior surface of here. You will find trabecular line like this on the tibia, and it is trabecular lines are developed on the posterior surface because it is going up to the calcaneum, because the weight line is shifting here as well as here. at the MTP. So if I can say, if the person is of 100 kg, 50 kg will pass to the posterior and 50 kg will pass through the anterior stud. So that means it is moving, and this will cause, what will happen is, this will cause the this arch to move down. As soon as the arch move down, this will be what will happen is, they will be moving away. Calcaneum and MTP joint will be moving away, so they will lengthen up. This plantar fascia will lengthen up. So you can see it is lengthening. Here the tensile strength is there, or tensile movement is happening, that is lengthening. The distance between the calcaneum and the MTP will increase. Fine. So this is how the dissipation of force takes place, or dissipation in or the movement of this plantar fascia is happening in weight bearing condition. I hope so this is clear. Now the second function of it is that it helps act as an suspension, or what happens is, second function is that whenever there is a hind foot rotation, whenever there is a hind foot, you know there is a hind foot rotation takes place there. If it goes into supination or a pronation, fine, there is a rotational movement of the calcaneum which is there, and which is bringing about the hind foot, whether it goes into pronation or supination. So there is a kind of a movement which is taking place in the midfoot as well as in the in this MTP joint. Now what happens here is, if the MTP, the metatarsal break, that is the first MTP, it goes into extension, what will happen is, as soon as it goes into extension, this will bring about, you see, as soon as this brings, I'll show this in this figure again. Now if this is talus, this is calcaneum, and this is MTP. Now if these are the movement. Fine. Now what is happening, if this goes into extension, so what is happening is, MTP is going into extension. Now whenever this MTP is going into extension, it is pulling the calcaneum towards it. Can you see? It is pulling the calcaneum towards it, and that is, it is bringing about a compression or contraction of the plantar fascia. It is bringing about a compression or contraction of the of this fascia. Fine. So what is happening is, which is held by talus. Now it is controlled by talus. It will not bring about, if the talus is, it's the key bone or the keystone of the arches. Why it is said to be a keystone of the arches? Because it will hold this position. Whenever MTP extension takes place, the plantar fascia will move towards or the calcaneum will move towards the MTP, and tries to and what will happen is, it will try to shorten up and increase the medial longitudinal arch, and it brings about an increase in the medial longitudinal arch and brings about a supination of calcaneum. It brings about a supination of calcaneum. We want that medial longitudinal arch will increase, and it brings about a locked in position of the calcaneum. What will happen here? Okay, it brings about a locked in position of the hind foot, so that the foot acts as a rigid lever. The midfoot also goes into supination, and it acts as a rigid lever on which the motion takes place. Okay, and hip extension takes place and weight bearing takes place. Fine. So this effect is called as windlass mechanism. This happens in windlass mechanism. Now opposite can also happen. What will happen in opposite condition? In opposite condition, what happens is, if this MTP extension doesn't take place properly, what will happen? If this extension is less due to any of the condition, we have seen the holus limitus or rigidus condition, where the MTP extension is reduced. Now if this extension is not taking place throughout the full range, the amount of pull will be decreased. Now if this amount of pull is decreased, then what will happen is, this will not act as a suspension. What will happen is, it will flatten up. The medial longitudinal arch will flatten, or the longitudinal arch will flatten up, and flattening will cause a calcaneal pronation position. Fine, you will cause a pronation position over there. So that means it is responsible for the increase in arch, bring about a calcaneal supination, locking position, acting as a rigid lever for the MTP extension to take place and metatarsal break to take place. Whereas if this metatarsal or MTP extension is not proper or is limited, what will happen is, there will be no pulling of the calcaneum towards the MTP. It will be in a flattened position, so the arch will be low. Low arch will bring about more kind of a pronational movement or hind foot rotational movements. Fine. So this is how it is acting as a suspension, and it is also acting as a spring. It is spring movement for the weight dissipation and suspension movement during the MTP extension movement. Fine. So this plays a very crucial role. Now let us, after explaining you so in detail, let us read through these slides also. Now the foot has got three arches: the medial, we can say the medial longitudinal arch, the lateral longitudinal arch, and the transverse arch. You know that the medial longitudinal arch has more as compared to the other one, and these arches, they evolve during the processes. They are not present at birth, they evolve during the process. Fine. So the next is the structure of the arches. You see, it is anchored posteriorly. You can see that it is anchored posteriorly by the calcaneum and interiorly by the metatarsal heads. So you have got medial longitudinal arch as well as lateral longitudinal arch, whereas the medial arch is more higher as compared to the lateral one, and the lateral arch is lower than the medial one. The talus becomes the keystone of this arch, longitudinal arch. The talus becomes the keystone of this arch. Now you can see this is the initial one is the lateral, and the below, this is the medial one. This is for the medial side and this is for the lateral side. The lateral side, it is the arch is less as compared to the medial side. Now what about this transverse arches? It has been formed by the midfoot. At the midfoot level, you can see it at the TMJ joint, the tarsometatarsal joint. You can see the interior tarsals, the middle cuneiform forms. The tarsal and the medial cuneiform are the keystones for this arch. The transverse arch can be seen at the distal metatarsals with less curvature, and through this second metatarsals forms the apex of this arch. Okay? It can be seen at the metatarsal heads also. Fine, where the weight bearing takes place. I told you that we can see it from both the sides. So this is how we can see. When this is the basically the you can see the cuneiform, the you can see the cuboid. You can see the cuboid, you can see the lateral, middle, intermediate, and the medial cuneiform. So this is basically the arch, you can see that, and how you can see the intermediate cuneiform forms the major keystone for this. You can view this transverse arch at this anterior level also, at the level of the metatarsophalangeal joint also. Fine, when you see this section, this arch can easily be seen, but it is maximum at the tarsophalangeal joint. Tarsometatarsal joint. Fine. So now what is about the shape? Now this place, I told you the structure of this arch depends upon one, the wedge shaped structure of the metatarsal joint, the inclination of calcaneum, and the metatarsal. They contribute towards the structure of, or the stability of the medial longitudinal arch. Fine. So the structure, that is inclination of the calcaneum, the inclination, the wedge shaped structure of the metatarsals, and the wedge shaped structure of the tarsals bones, as well as the metatarsal head inclination, they play a very crucial role in the structural stability of the arches. Whereas the other stability is looked after by the ligaments. The ligaments we have seen is the spring ligament, which is also called as calcaneonavicular ligament. Then there is interosseous ligament between talus and the calcaneum, which is also there is part of cervical ligament between the neck of the talus to the neck of the calcaneum. Then there is a long and the short plantar ligament. The new word which we have seen is plantar aponeurosis. It plays a very crucial role in it. Fine. Now this ligaments can be seen over here. You see this is the calcaneo to navicular, that is why it's calcaneonavicular ligament. Can you see this? This is very nicely shown over here. Then you have this long and short plantar ligament. Can you see this? This is a long and the short plantar ligaments are there. I've shown you wrong. Let me show you again. You can see this. This is the short plantar ligament. This is the long plantar ligament. Can you see the plantar ligament, which is arising from the calcaneum, the substantia tali, and it is going up to the level of the navicular bone as well as the medial cuneiform. So these are the ligaments which is holding the arch. Then this is from the medial facet of the calcaneum. Let me show you in different form. And the medial, and it is running up to the base of the metatarsophalangeal joint. Can you see this? This is called as the plantar epineuritis. This is basically plantar. So we have seen is the spring ligament, the long and the short plantar ligament, and the plantar epineuritis, which are very crucial in the stability of the plantar arches. Now function of the plantar arches is, the plantar arches has got mobility as well as stability function. Now you understand it is weight bearing function is very much important. It helps to dampen up the weight bearing forces. So as we have seen, it compressional forces, it dampens up the and it also dampens up the rotational motions, supination and pronation swift. Weight bearing forces through the tibia was transmitted posteriorly to the calcaneum and anteriorly or to the, by the talus to the metatarsophalangeal joint. Fine. And it also adapts to the supporting surfaces. Fine. It has also got a weight bearing stability, that is it converts the foot as a rigid lever, so that the foot can work as a metatarsal brake. It can work at the MTP joint. So it also acts as in this position. Now the next was the role of plantar epineuritis. Now plantar epineuritis is basically a dense fascia which runs to the entire foot, posteriorly by the medial tubercle of the calcaneum, and anteriorly it goes up to the plantar plates. I told you the plantar plates, and via the plantar plates up to the proximal part of the phalanx. It goes up to the phalanx, but we have in the diagrams we have seen up till MTP joint, but it goes and gets inserted in the phalanx. Fine. So it is running from the plantar plates, which we at the base or at the base of the MTP joint, that is metatarsophalangeal joint. So the plantar epineuritis and its role in arch support are linked in the relationship between the plantar epineuritis and the MTP joint. When the MTP goes into extension, remember the MTP goes into extension, that is the plantar epineuritis increasingly become tight, and as the proximal phalanx glides in relation to the metatarsals. So basically there is a gliding movement which takes place. You know that because of the MTP has gone, the proximal phalanx also glides dorsally. There is causing extension. Remember, it is bringing about an extension at the MTP joint. So there is a gliding movement of the phalanx at the metatarsal in relation to the metatarsal. So the metatarsal heads basically act as a pulley for the plantar neurosis, in which the plantar neurosis is pulled and tightened. You know, this is pulled. As the plantar neurosis is tense at the MTP extension, this is the heel and the MTP are drawn towards each other and rising the arch. It brings about rising the arch and supination of the foot takes place. This phenomena of the plantar epineuritis to increase the role of increasing the supporting the arches as the foot raises, and at the time of metatarsal break is called as windlass mechanism. This is what I wanted to show is what is happening over here is it is whenever there is an extension, it is MTP extension is taking place. What is happening? The epineuritis is basically what is happening is it is pulled. This is pulled. It is pulled towards the calcaneum is pulled towards where? It is pulled towards the MTP. So when it is pulled towards the MTP, what is happening over here is the talus is basically pulling it as a suspension. It brings about a pulling because it is acting as a tie rod. So remember, so it is pulling, the talus is pulling it up so that the arch can be maintained. The arch is high. Herein it brings about the arch is high. Whenever there is a, it raises the arch. Fine. The opposite is also there when the MTP extension is not there properly in full range. So it increases what the function of this epineuritis is, it increases the longitudinal arch and brings about supination of the foot when the heel rises, and it helps to convert the foot as a rigid lever during the push-off phase. Now tightening of the plantar epineuritis and also prevents the excessive MTP extension, excessive weight bearing. It prevents this excessive weight bearing. Fine. And it also resists active toe flexor mechanism, and it basically holds the MTP bones or prevent it from excessive load. It basically shears the load at the first and the second MTP joint. Fine. So this is the major role over there. So, and in weight bearing also it plays a very crucial role because the shape of the arch has been changed, and it plays the talus plays a very important role in dissipation of the forces. Superimposed body weight can be easily been given. So just going through this, you will read that this in weight bearing position 50% is of the weight is been transferred to the posterior, that is calcaneus, and anteriorly to the talonavicular and calcaneocuboid joint. So this is how the dissipation of the forces takes place, and how the in weight bearing position. Fine. This is how the trabecular system, which I told you earlier, the trabecular system from the talus, it is moving 50% here and 50% here. So you can see the trabecular system which has been formed. At this point it is maximum because the force has been transmitted here, so because of the aponeurosis. So you can see why there is more here, and this has got more trabecular system, because the weight shifting or the weight bearing points are these only. Fine. So they plays a very crucial role while we are walking during the different phases of push off phase to heel off phase. There is a different phases, and with the different speed the weight bearing changes. So this arch plays a very crucial role in, basically it prevents the bending forces acting on these small joints. So this is the function of the arch. Second, it helps in weight distribution, it helps in dissipation of forces, and it dissipates the forces downwards, as well as it holds the arch upwards, so that less amount of bending forces act along with the bones. It also improves the productivity or the function of ligaments to hold the foot in different, while taking different shapes during the uneven terrains. So it also plays a very crucial role in conditions, the persons having holus valgus or different foot type. So it helps in reducing the pressure on the bones while during walking. Fine. So the muscles which support them are the medial longitudinal arch during gait is extrinsic muscles, and that pass posterior to the medial malleoli and insert in the plantar foot, that is tibialis posterior, flexor digitorum longus, flexor hallucis longus muscle. We have already discussed the role of anatomical pulley of this the sesamoid bone acting as anatomical pulley for the flexor hallucis brevis and flexor hallucis longus. The lateral stability is being provided by peroneus longus and peroneus brevis muscle. It helps us in walking. So this is all about plantar arches, and I hope you have little bit in depth about ankle and foot. The aim of putting forward these videos was to give you an insight what to write, what are the important points to be kept in mind while you are writing about the biomechanics, kinetics and the kinematics of each joint. And just this is a revision video, so that I understand that you have in-depth detail about it, you understand more about the anatomical part. Now, keeping the important things, when you write an exam, you need to put these important points, keep in mind writing these important points, as well as you can explain upon these points, can be further been explained if you go through these videos, and as well as these PPTs which are shown in these videos. They are in depth. I have not I have given full theory in these PPTs, and I try to explain you so that you can write, understand and revise, as well as put it on paper easily. Fine. I hope these videos were useful to you. Thank you so much, guys. Okay.